Morning folks, this soap is from Wet to Face, Salty Sea Air, and the soap is it's a very soft soap, quite easy to work out of the tub and put in a bowl for bowl lathering, and the container is deep enough that if you want to lather in there or load your brush you can. Plenty of room for that sort of thing. Got the halum block with no rubber band. Unscented witch hazel that's mentholated. I'm going to follow up with Aqua Vela Ice Blue. And I think yesterday I forgot to mention that I'm still using the shaven beard oil off camera. The shaver of the day, this will be shave number 3 on this blade. Let's see how long it'll last for me. Excuse me. With this feather poplar. And got this, I was going to show this to you. Here we go. The brush, when it comes in the box, looks like this. There's a nylon sleeve that goes on the handle to help protect the handle, and it comes in a box like this right here, and it also comes complete with instructions how to use it and all that sort of thing. It mentions about cleaning it up for the first time, as well as it mentions that using a painting motion is the preferred method for according to them. The concern being, especially with a badger knot, is damaging the bristles on how you use the brush. And I have this particular brush is from their Galaxy line, and I've got the lather whipped up pretty wet. And this one here is a 26 millimeter. There's the coin there at the bottom of the inlay. And this comes in about 5 or 6 different looking colors like this. And I have links down below for both of these brushes. And I've got it whipped up here in the smooth bottom bowl here. And like I say, I've got it whipped up on the wet side this morning. And I'm thinking that by the time I get to the maybe by the time I get to the third pass, it'll not be quite so wet. I've already used a hot towel to the face, and I'll go ahead and get started with the Preshave soap here. What was a cube? It's been working well for me, the best I can tell. I think on these shaves, as I get closer trying to reach that number 5, that 5th shave, that the Preshave, I'm wondering, is where it might, I guess you might say, really shine. Because by that point in time the blade's going to be a little on the tired side perhaps. And if it is, I'm wondering if the Preshave is going to be a bit more noticeable. We'll find out sometime today, which will be later today, what time she's supposed to be at the hospital for her surgery. So things have been kind of chaotic, especially today being Halloween, and my son's got sax lessons, and we're going in different directions and all kinds of stuff. We're still trying to get wrapped up before the surgery, not knowing how things are going to turn out. And so I don't know how Thursday shave's going to work. It might end up being on Friday. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But it's kind of funny. Last night, my son decided to, it was time to shave. Now he's 14, on his way to be 15. So I think he's shaving about once every month or thereabouts. And so the last shave he used the Focus Dynamic, and fixed him up again with the Focus Dynamic again, and using the Omega shaving cream, so it's got a nice cooling effect. And he does pretty good with it. The only thing, he had a small mishap with the on his lip. He caught his bottom lip with the shaver, but outside of that, he did just fine. He's getting used to it. Considering that you only shave with it once a month, you know, it's kind of hard to get very proficient at using it if you're only shaving with it once a month, but he's doing pretty good. Of course, he had never started with a cartridge, so he doesn't have that to contend with. So that's working in his favor. He has asked about him, and me being the dad told him that I don't have any of those. And I said, but I do have these. Which I'm kind of surprised it took as long as he did to ask about it. But we had a you know, a short discussion about it. You know, about the cost and all that sort of thing. And there it is. I got one of my daughter's hair. She, I think she used my hand towel here in front of me. Well, we did discuss, you know, the pros and cons of using a cartridge razor. And one of the pros is that I've got plenty of razors for him. And a good selection of blades. I've already got his kit worked up and been, you know, putting little things here and there in it, so that when he turns 16 is when I plan on giving it to him. So he's got a good start. I guess you might say he's got two of the shavers that most people talk about for somebody starting out, and that's the Record 34C as well as the Edwin Jagger DE89. So he's got those two as well as a few others in there. A vintage Gillette, the black handled one. Don't know. It would be the one that is comparable to, here we go, the blue tip. I guess you might say the last one they made of the flare tips. But kind of hooked him up with, you know, a few things like that. Brush. I think he'll do alright. And I already told him that Focus Dynamic is his also. Explained about the DEs and how inexpensive they are, and then that particular shaver, you're only using half of the shaver, you know, the blade anyway, so, you know, you're saving money there too. So told him long term it'll work out better for him. He's still depending on me to whip up the lather though. When he was shaving in the past, I've been right there with him watching, and this last time I just stood outside the door. Not that I was watching, just letting him know that I was there if he needed me. And like I said, he did rather well. I do find it kind of interesting that, you know, for him being new, how little trouble he is having with that shaver. You know, how, you know, when you start out with a cartridge and you use the cartridge for so many years, and that transition can be rather tough for some folks. And he's starting out with the DE and a single edge, and how well he's doing. And to be honest with you, he leaves me the impression watching him that I think he's more comfortable using the single edge than he is the double edge. And I'm sometimes I do wonder why. I think also the fact that the Focus Dynamic is a mild shaver, so that blade feel is so much less that he doesn't feel intimidated by it. So when he was finishing up yesterday, you just used the witch hazel, didn't use the alum. And the witch hazel, I had him use the unscented mentholated one. So he got to comment on how that made his face feel, as well as the had him use floral water for the aftershave. And he seemed to be, I mean, outside of coarse alcohol in the aftershave, but he seemed to be all right with the scent. I haven't used it in a while, and I thought maybe I'd let him give it a try and see what he thought about that scent. He has found one of Fine's accoutrements aftershaves that he really likes, for that him and his girlfriend. But he's already developing, I guess you might say, a nose for this sort of thing, better than mine. Now I have given it some thought when I get closer to that 5th shave. That the speed that I work through my shave might slow down a little bit. I might change my technique, in that I would be using maybe a buffing motion might work better for me when I use this blade that's towards the end of its life. Right now I have to say the 3rd shave has really taken, in other words, the edginess of the blade has deteriorated quite a bit. I say deteriorated, it has gotten better. In other words, it's not near as edgy, it's a lot smoother, much smoother shave on the 3rd shave. There is a wee bit of feedback on the against the grain pass. This is pretty fun though, because it has been a while since I guess you might say that's tried to do a test to see how many shaves I can get out of a blade. And this one being a feather, I've always, in the past, expect to get more. Because most of my shaves, when it comes to a DE blade, it's usually a one and done. Sometimes I might go 2. But I usually don't keep the blade around very long because they're not. Sharp blade, fresh blade, helps with getting a nice smooth shave. And blades are pretty much inexpensive, feather being the one that's not. And I have yet to try a Kai double-edged safety blade. I have not used one of those just yet. And that will be one of the ones next on the list to be trying. Which that won't happen until next year because I don't have any of the blades right now. And I should mention that these dscosmetic brushes come by the way of China. And they ship them in an e-packet, if you will, or a small box. And so the length of time it takes for it to get here is 2 or 3 weeks. So it does take a moment for them to get here. But for me, that's ordering stuff from China and waiting for it has never been a real issue for me. I just know when I order stuff online, sometimes it's going to take a moment. Especially if you're, some folks, how they handle their business. They may be the only person that's in their business. So in other words, shipping may take a day or 2. longer than what maybe somebody's got several people working, where they fill the order shortly after getting them. To me, it seemed like their shipping worked out pretty well. I mean, it seemed to be pretty quick. I think it seemed like it came quicker than what I was expecting. But you can check that out on their website. It's of course it's AliExpress, so. And it looks like also when I was looking at their website for these brushes, checking them out, they offer not only brushes that are already done, just handles, knots as well, and it looks like they offer several badger knots. Different styles, I guess you might say. I don't know a whole lot about badger knots. 2-band finest, Manchurian, you name them. I really don't know one from the other outside the collar and the white tips and the black ones. And to be honest with you, when it comes to that sort of thing, if it's a black knot, it seems to work just fine for me. I kind of like a bore knot, so in other words, scritchiness doesn't seem to bother me much. Really not at all. Scritchy doesn't bother me. It's usually your brushes will be cheaper if you choose one of those. It breaks in, it softens up. There you go. So if it's a little bit more work for me to get it to soften up, it's not that big of a deal to me. That's all the fun in getting the brush as far as I'm concerned. Just, you know, working it, breaking it in. There are some instructions with these brushes also. Don't know if I mentioned about what they recommend on what to do with them. They do say that they have been sanitized and whatnot, and but they do mention about just washing it like you would your hair for the first time. They have some razors, twist to open, 3-piece. I think if I remember right, I did see some straight razors. Didn't see any shavettes, and I could have just overlooked them. Like I said, they do have a do-it-yourself type situation where you can, you know, order your handles yourself, and if you already got some knots, you can put the knots in there. Different style of handles. I think, as it goes for shapes, I think there was 2, but different colors that you can choose from. That cooling effect is really nice. My son, he referred to it as burning. Just not used to that cooling effect. So in other words, he hasn't experienced razor burn just yet to know what the burn is. This is one of my favorite aftershaves, Aqua Velva. I still have the big bottle. I do not have the new label. Don't have a need to get another one just yet. But this is, you know, growing up, it's not quite like growing up nowadays where you have many channels on the TV to choose from. There's computers with all kinds of stuff going on, different advertisements and whatnot. But for me, of course, growing up, our antenna, rabbit ears, you know, we were lucky to pick up the 3 channels. And on a rare occasion, maybe PBS on a rare occasion. But most of the time, just the 3 channels. So I remember these commercials, Persona. I remember a lot of these commercials, you know, that stood out. You know, the Persona 74s, you know, the advertisements during the like a World Series or the Super Bowl or whatever the case might be, a Wilkinson sword. I remember these advertisements, and I think that's when I first started to go back, actually truly start the traditional shaving. That's the reason that's what I was looking for, seeking those out, and I have to say felt pretty lucky that I could get a 100 pack of Persona blades. Feather didn't come into the picture until a wee bit later. But once again, it's a twist to open, really easy to use, very much I guess you might say your basic tool. It's not going to win any beauty pageants or anything of the sort. There's the blade, if you can see that. That's the third use on that blade, and this was the smoothest shave yet, which is the third one. So it'll be interesting. Will it continue being smooth on the fourth, going into the fifth? It'll be interesting. I know the last time I used this shaver, I was pretty happy with it. I mean, it does the job. So even if you were to use the blades that come with it, which are the feather blades, and decide maybe that's not quite for you, it's still a decent enough shaver that you can use on a daily basis just to get your shave on. Just figure out what blade works for you. Cost wise, I think if you can get enough shaves, in other words, like I'm seeing if I can get 5, that breaks the cost down to about a nickel a use, somewhere in there. Also depends on where you get your blades at. I'll put the link down below again for the one I found on Amazon that seems to be a reasonable price, if you will, because I've seen the prices of these blades go much higher than $11.70. I think it was what, $11.77 for 50 blades, and I've seen it go much higher than that. These blades can be quite expensive, so you gotta shop around, see what works best for you, price wise, and it may take a little while if you're interested in other words, in going down that vein of using feather blades on a regular basis, if all you're trying to do is get your shave on a regular basis. But boy, my face feels great. Still got the cooling effect going on, then of course with the aftershave right on top of that, face feels wonderful. Had a great shave. Hope everybody's doing well. Stay safe, and as soon as I know something, I'll get back with you and let you know. Talk to you later.